بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم آمين. This is another episode of the Bowtie Chronicles, coming at you with episode 6A. And the topic, once again, we were talking about biracial marriages. And this is your host, Brother Sky William Abdul Wahid, also known as Abu Naima. Okay, and we're talking about the issue of biracial marriages, and the concern, or the part that I was actually going to mention with biracial marriages was wait for this door to get closed. Issue that I wanted to mention with biracial marriages, or as it was presented to me. It was presented that, like I said before, some brothers or some sisters had bad experiences with biracial marriages, in the sense that we're talking about. Let's go back to what we were talking about at first. We said we would talk about biracial marriages. I don't consider it a biracial marriage, first of all. Okay, but to consider the view of some of my listeners or friends, they consider it a biracial marriage. Okay, and why do they consider it a biracial marriage? First of all, when you talk about biracial marriage, when you say biracial, basically it's two different races coming together. Okay, and so the way these colleagues or friends look at African Americans and Africans, they don't deem us as having the same racial makeup. Okay, in other words, many of them, after going to or having experiences with Africans, they come to the conclusion that, oh, they're not like us, or we're not like them. Okay, which some of that could be sound. Okay, I'm not taking that away. And in many ways, we are not like them because we have been cut off from Africa for such a long time. Now, also, you have to keep in mind that when you talk about Africa, Africa's a continent. And so now you're talking about a whole continent that has many different cultures inside of the different countries. So, and these are the things that a lot of African Americans are not able to, when they cast their blanket of judgment, the blanket of judgment may be based upon an experience that they had in one particular place, minus their, minus Africa as a whole, or the different cultures that make up the continent of Africa. Okay, and so this is and so the judgment is based upon, as far as my assessment of things, because I've had bad experiences too while in Africa, but I've been able to look at those experiences and isolate them with those people, and not make my experience with those particular people an experience that spans over the globe of Africa. Okay, so, and and I say that so that can be understood. For instance, my first encounter with Africa was by way of Egypt. Okay, like most African Americans, either they're going to go to East Africa or they're going to go to West Africa. And so by going to northern East Africa, which is really considered North Africa, Egypt is, basically what you come in contact when you come into northeast or northeast Africa, you come in contact with a group of people that don't look African, or from the context of what we understand in the States as far as what an African is, they're not African, which is sound, which is true, okay. But you also come across those that that are Nubian, that are of authentic or African origin. Okay, so your experience with both cultural groups, the Arab slash Arab mixed African slash Greeks, Coptics, you got a whole dynamic mix up in there, and also some Jews, you know what I mean? So you got a whole dynamic mixtures. But because the problem occurs with most people that are African American origin when they don't know what they're dealing with as far as the people, the makeup. They thinking, all brothers brothers, you know what I mean? So you go into a situation or a place with this particular mindset, not knowing because they haven't read up on the situation, or they haven't read up on the people. So what normally happens a lot of times is that we come into situations that don't fit the expectations that we have of a particular place or the people in that place. And because it doesn't fit our expectations, we go through a downward spiral. We become depressed, we become angry, we become bitter. It's a lot of, because going to Africa takes a lot of preparation in times. A lot of people save up a lot of money. It's a grand trip. You know what I mean? They're gonna do it big, and so forth. We have a tendency to go over the top with some things. My first trip to Africa was a basic trip. I did read up on the places that I intended to travel to, but at the same time, I had a basic ticket. It was cheap. I stayed in a basically cheap hotel, and I had a modest experience. That's what I say, or as it was just a modest experience, and I rubbed shoulders with modest people, and I didn't, wasn't turning up, popping bottles, what I'm saying, how we get. I just, I stayed in some real humble humble places, you know what I mean? So, and so by doing that, I was able to see and experience things for what they were. And one of my first experiences, of course, when I first flew into Egypt, and it dawned on me, hey, we're flying to Africa. We in the airspace and so forth. We're about to land. I became emotionally choked up, and I cried and everything, and because I remembered Malcolm's experience and his, when he took the pictures at the pyramids and so forth. So I did all of that right there, and so I took all that in, okay, from one aspect, because for me, and for a lot of people that go back to Africa, it's a two-sided experience. You got the Black African experience, and then you have the Islamic Black African experience, which if one is not well versed in either of the two, then the experience is based upon, like I said, based upon ignorance. So one has to research, one has to read, so as to have an experience that is based upon knowledge and what is to be expected, and what is to, and what you're going to encounter. Okay. And so after that, I went to the pyramids. I did all of that, and alhamdulillah. the experience was mediocre. It was beautiful. I felt good. You know what I mean? I felt good. I finally felt free to an extent. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't about money for me. As soon as I got the passport back, which at that particular time I think the passport was like $50. So as soon as I got my passport back, I was like, I got to go. You know what I mean? Because for me, it was more so a freeing of one's mind and heart from the situation of bondage. And so that was my experience. As far as those people that I would encounter, that was something I had to deal with afterwards, after I dealt with me first. A lot of people, they travel and they haven't dealt with them in that exchange and their experience and what they're going through. So when they do come across people, likewise, we all have baggage. So there is a element of baggage that's still being dealt with and processed at that particular point. Okay, we haven't got to the biracial part yet because we're still laying down some foundational points here so as to understand before we get there, because that's the part that's going to be rather sloppy. And so my experience, I stood out because I was different. I was dressed different and so forth. And so we have a tendency to think that the way we dress a lot of times is African and so forth. So sometimes we dress particular ways in America that may not be authentic African garb, or it may be different things. But and whatever we do wear, we don't know that those what we may be wearing is not something that's wore all over Africa, because once again, you have cultural differences. And so certain clothes are worn in Nigeria and it's worn differently in Senegal, Ghana, Gambia, South Africa, Kenya, Somalia, Egypt, Morocco. It doesn't make a difference where you go, Mauritania, the Congo, Tanzania, you know what I mean? So they all got different dress. So if you wear one thing thinking that you're going to fit in, you're not going to fit in, for the simple fact that you may be going to a country where that's not their national dress. And so these are issues that we don't take in consideration when we cast judgment on our experience, okay? And so let alone, not even talking about marriage, we're just talking about the experience of just just vibing with people in general, you know what I mean? And some of us are people, you know what I'm saying? We know how to vibe with people automatically. You have that experience from your background. You have that experience, that background with many different experiences with people. Some people are just people. They're people. They know how to, read people and vibe with people. You know what I'm saying? So you can do that in every culture. It depends on you as an individual and how you, but some cultural, some African signals are hard to read because, once again, the body language is different, okay? And so we may take a particular body language to mean something else, and that's not exactly what is being said, okay? Like people being friendly, okay? Sometimes people just smile a lot. Brothers, that don't mean they like you, meaning girls, because that's just how people are, you know what I'm saying? They smile at everybody, treat it, hey, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? And, brothers from the States, oh man, she checking me out, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And no, that don't mean that. So don't put yourself out there all the time like that right there. Culturally, things are different. And until you understand the cultural dynamics of different societies, then you can't take everything into the same frame in which you would if you were in America and the States. Okay. With that being said, we're going to end this part with an experience that I did have. My first real experience with a Black African in Africa. I was going around the square, which is famous Tahrir Square in Egypt at that time. And I'm standing out here. I'm probably one of the tallest guys out at the square at that particular time. This is noonday time, after the noonday prayer. And I'm just out there. I'm doing my thing. Got my backpack on. I'm doing my thing. I'm checking the sights out and everything. And I look to the distance. And when I look to the distance, I caught the eye of another brother who was slightly darker than me. Boom. He caught my eye. I caught his eye. I went like that. He went like that. I smiled. He smiled. He shook his head. These are international. You find this everywhere you go. And this is the only thing that that brothers have in common that I think that sisters don't have this in common. Because sisters, I don't know what's wrong with sisters, African-American sisters, and what's wrong with African sisters. They don't vibe like we vibe. So automatically, everywhere I've gone, this connection has always been. I don't care where they're from. They could be from Benin. They could be from the Congo. They could be from wherever they're from. They could be Christian. They could be Muslim. Don't make a difference. That vibe has always been there. When they see me and I see them in the crowd, we acknowledge one another. Boom. Regardless of what we got on, regardless of what country we're from, we acknowledge one another. Women have a tendency to, like you know how women do in the States. Sister come in and she banging. She got on the, her outfit is banging. They'll look. And if they're not from the same place, automatically things kick in, you know. And if they are from the same place, then they start, she ain't wearing that right the way she ain't even got that on right, And so men don't necessarily do that. This is everywhere I've gone. Of course you're gonna have haters that are gonna be from out the movie Belly. That's gonna say, I'm gonna drop a dime on this food, but it don't never, it's just not like that the majority of the time. Brothers have a tendency to click everywhere I've gone, or like where I'm at right now. When we go to the ambassador's house, you have people that come to the ambassador's house, the Senegalese ambassador's house. They're from all over Africa, different countries. And we all vibe, we all hit off good. Okay? It's only when the sisters come together that they don't hit off as well as us. So brothers, we hit off very well. We don't have issues with one another. We're able to talk about political issues. We're able to talk about culture. We're able to talk about all kinds of things, marriage, everything. We don't have issues. Predominantly, we don't have it. And if we do have issues, we don't bring those issues up and make those the focus of our conversations. Whereas as far as the sisters, they may come in, they may be there for 2-3 hours. Sisters get into their little huddles. They don't speak to them. We ain't speaking to them. That's just how it happens. Don't ask me why. I haven't been able to get into that circle because I'm not a female, so I don't really understand. Okay? But that's what takes place. Okay, so sisters have a tendency to say, well, is so-and-so going? If she going, I'm going. She ain't going, I ain't going. So those are issues that sisters have, that brothers don't have. This is the end of episode 6A for the Bowtie Chronicles, Biracial Marriage. And we will go into the second part, which is talking about biracial marriage itself. Assalamu alaikum.